the attendance, and those who attend all workshops for the entire time will be eligible to receive a $20 electronic gift card after the conference. If you have questions, need support or resources, or if you would like to ask a question confidentially, you can reach out to any of the staff that were introduced on the first day of the conference. Our first speaker of the day is Philip Wilkerson. Philip Wilkerson is an employer engagement consultant at GMU Career Services. In this role, he serves as a liaison between employers and the GMU community to ensure career opportunities such as jobs and internships are available to students, faculty, staff, and alumni. He oversees the following industries: media entertainment, journalism, public relations, graphic design, sports and recreation, hospitality and tourism, technology and engineering. Earlier in 2024, Philip was nominated as the National Association of Colleges and Professionals throughout the country by demonstrating leadership and providing exceptional support for the professional growth and advancement of his mentees. In the past, he was awarded Employee of the Month for GMU in September 2019. The 40 under 40 list for GMU Black alumni, 40 under 40 for the Northern Virginia area throughout the Leadership Center for excellence, the ALX Chamber 40 under 40, as well as being the recipient of the Pillar Award, which is for GMU staff and staff member who supports Black students. He is also the faculty advisor for Iota Alpha Chamber of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, Inc. And the GMU NAACP chapter. In his free time, he hosts a podcast called Positive Filter, which focuses on well-being and Toastmasters. He is married to Maggie Wilkerson, LCSW, GMU class of 2007 social work, and is father to 2 boys, Bennett and Miles. Please join me in welcoming Philip Wilkerson to the stage.
Thank you. It's all weird. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. And so, well, one, let's give it a hand. Thank you for that. I know that was a lot, to do an introduction. So, when I do these speaking engagements, I always start off with a story. I just kind of think stories really set the tone for how I'm going to explain the power within you and the topic of this conference today. By show of hands, how many people have seen the movie Moana? All right, I've seen that so many times. I could sing the Rock Johnson. I can hear his name in my head. You're welcome. During pandemic, my son had that on repeat. But what a lot of people don't know is that story is actually based in historical fact. In Polynesian culture, there were wave finders, or tribes that would traverse miles and miles of ocean from one island to the other, right? These are true stories with nothing but the wind and the sails and the stars. So think about that. Kind of put your mind in that thought. We have technology, we have GPS, we have all these things, but thinking about going out to journeys on oceans 2,000, 1,000 miles, not knowing exactly where you're going to land, right? Quite scary. And so I start off with this story. There was a student and there was a teacher. And so the student was one of these people similar to Moana. Remember the movie, the girl was going out, the dad was like, "You're not ready." She's like, "I'm gonna go out anyway." So similar to those stories, there was a student and there was a teacher. And this person was going out to a journey to sea. Thousands and thousands and thousands of miles. So this person was getting ready, was learning maritime techniques, was looking at the stars, looking, spearing fish, really preparing for quite a journey. And she comes back to her teacher and she says to her teacher, "You see me getting ready, you see me training, you see me preparing for this journey out to sea. I'm ready, let me go." And the teacher simply looks at that student and says, "Okay, where's Tahiti?" "What do you mean? Why are you asking me where Tahiti? I've never been there before. Why are you asking me such a crazy question?" I guess the teacher's like, "Well, if you can't tell me where Tahiti is, you're clearly not ready." So how many times, by show of hands, how many times have we had an idea, we know we're ready, and someone automatically shoots us down? Anyone had that, right? You stand on business, like I know I'm going to do this, and not going to do it. So we go back, kind of like I used to do when I was in high school, grumbling, close my door or whatever. She goes back, she's getting ready, play that 80s montage, that music, doing more, learning, training, getting prepared. Like no one can tell this person she's not ready. Comes back to that teacher, says, okay, you see me getting ready, you see me training, you see the work that I'm putting in, I'm ready, let me go. Teacher, very simple question, where's Tahiti? What do you think? She's like, I don't know, never been there before. Once again, in frustration, leaves because the teacher said, clearly you're not ready. So goes back, does it one more time. And in her mind, she said, I don't care, I'm gonna go, I don't need such and such approval, I don't need that person's blessing. I know I put in the work, I know I'm ready for this journey, I'm ready to go. No one can tell me I can't go. I have dreams about this, I'm going. So goes back to that teacher with that mindset, with that passion, that purpose. I'm going to go. You can't stop me from going. I'm going regardless. And so the teacher was like, okay, I hear you. She's like, I'm ready. I've been preparing for this. I've been putting the work and energy into this. I'm going to go. I even dream about this. The teacher says, so you dream about this. Okay, so where's Tahiti? And the student says, it's in my mind. And therefore, the teacher was like, all right, you picture it, you're ready to go now. So that's a fictionalized story, but why would I bring that up to you? Why would I say that before you start, you gotta have the vision of where you're gonna end up in your mind? Well, I'm gonna share some lessons off of that story that I think would be applicable and hopefully helpful to all of y'all today. And also, I'm gonna share with you my Tahiti. I remember when I was graduating from James Madison, I was, slightly hungover, late night, and I saw a person come over, and they said, the graduation speaker, and I said, you know what? I can do that. I am just as skilled as that person. The only reason why that person was chosen is because they donate a lot of money to the school. And so in that reflection, I was like, I can do that one day. I could be a speaker. So that is my Tahiti. My Tahiti is one day to do a graduation convocation at my school. So how am I going to get there? And I'm going to get there because now that I know what my end vision is, I need to go back and do that for myself. So I'm going to share 3 lessons from those stories, from my Tahiti, and 3 lessons from that story that should be helpful for you. Number 1, you have to have the unwavering belief that you can do something before you share it with others. Similar to the story I shared earlier, yes, you want guidance. Yes, you want someone to support you. Yes, you need people to be in your corner. But if you cannot convince yourself that you can do it, you're not going to start. How many times do you have a great idea and you talk your own self out of it? Happens all the time. It happens so much. So if you cannot convince yourself that you can do something, or you have the unwavering faith that it's going to happen, you will be easily swayed. You won't go back 3 times. You won't practice. Because think about this, if I don't believe I can do something, the first time I get a no from someone externally, I would just stop. Think of that story with the Moana story. If that person went to their teacher, someone they respected, someone they admired, someone they looked up to, and that person said, no, you're not ready. If that person says, I know I'm ready, they would have stopped. So the first thing I think to you when you think about the things that you want to do for yourself is have the faith and have that argument with yourself that you can do it. Negate the negative voices that will convince you that it's not possible. So some voices that I would hear in that story is too dangerous. You never did it before. Who are you to think you can do it? And you would have to argue with yourself before you do it. Well, it's never been done before doesn't mean that I can't be the first. Or you've never done it before, that's okay. I do a lot of first things. That's normal, that's life. You're not expected to do everything or know how to do it the first time. Or is dangerous or whatever, you can say, well, I would probably risk the danger of doing something rather than live with the regret that I didn't even try. I'd rather have that hard journey than not. So before you do anything or put yourself out there to share it with others, you have to have the belief within yourself that you can do it, or that you want to do it. That's another one, right? Do you even want to do it? Is this something you want to do for yourself, or is something you're doing for others, or doing because someone else put that goal or that vision or that Tahiti on you? So my Tahiti, no one told me that I wanted to be a convocation speaker. No one's assigned that to me. That was something I wanted to do for myself, and something that no one else can convince me otherwise. Number 2, you do need to surround yourself with supportive people. And I'll go with further, you need to create a community of supportive people. We are not doing anything in isolation. Even in that journey that I shared earlier, that you go out to sea, you're still gonna have teachers, mentors, maybe a co-captain. You'll have people around you. How many people, once again, I like to ask questions, show of hands, how many people have heard that you're the average of the 5 people you associate with? Has anyone heard that term, right? Process by osmosis. The people you surround yourself, you become the average of those people. But I also want to charge you with this. If you think about being the average of the people that you surround yourself with, think about this inversely. For someone else's people, am I a positive influence? I can say I want to be surrounded by 5 positive people, but then look at yourself too and say, would I be a person that contributes to someone else's positive average? But understanding that the goals that you set for yourself, you can't do it alone. You have to surround yourself with people that support you and uplift you. I also like to say, probably in alignment with the Polynesian culture, is that beyond just the 5, that's like a American individualistic mindset, that we have to think beyond that, is that we need a support of a community. Not just 5 people, but like a whole community, a whole group, a whole neighborhood, a whole cohort, all of y'all together. You need that rather than just a small microcosm of that. Because just by law of averages of numbers, you have there's strength in numbers. You have a greater opportunity to be successful if you have more positive people than just 5. You build connections. I think, and so in that journey, if you're trying to do something or go somewhere, think about who am I surrounding myself with, but additionally, who am I extended to through my community? Who am I extended to that I can reach out to or have someone else introduce me to make me successful? So kind of bringing it back to that story for me is then I need to be in communities with people that are public speakers, understanding I need a mentor, maybe that person that can give me guidance, or I need to surround myself in groups. So I do what we call Toastmasters, where I practice public speaking, but I don't do it by myself. I do it with a group over and over and over again. But now through that group, I have people that I can reach out to for support and connection and expanding the vision that I have for myself. Number 3 that I'd like to share with you is that you have to enjoy the process. You have to enjoy the journey. Do a lot of people understand the full story of Christopher Columbus, regardless of your feelings about colonials and all that? You know why we are called, he called the native people, the indigenous people, Indians? Anyone know that? It's because he thought he got to India, right? No, he didn't get to India, he got to North America, right? And so I share that in that same story, is that in the journey of what you're trying to do, you may never, and this sounds like this is not motivational, you may never get to your Tahiti. You may never get to the destination that you had in your mind, but you're going to get somewhere else. I want to go to Tahiti, I might end up in Guam. I might go to Tahiti, I might end up in Hawaii. So it's not always necessarily that destination or that vision that I have in my mind. Even if I picture it or have unwavering faith that I'll get there, I might end up somewhere else. But rather than be upset about that, I'm failing forward, or I'm still in a better place than when I started. You will ask, if you go back and ask Jim Kelly, who went to the Super Bowl 4 times and lost all 4 times, if he believed that his career was unsuccessful, he would say without a doubt, no. It was the journey, it was the process, that he was proud that he got to four Super Bowls. He still had a great career. He still helped people along the way. He still was a champion for resilience. And even further, when he was diagnosed with cancer, he said going through adversity of failure over and over again made me just grateful that I at least got a shot to do something. And so that brought that resilience and grit. So think about that. Enjoy the journey. Most people always say that. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy the process. Trust the process. But I'll tell you right now, you are contributing to my journey. You are helping me getting closer to my Tahiti of that convocation speech. I may never get there. That's the reality. I may never, ever do the George Mason or James Madison convocation. And that is okay, because in that process, I got to speak to people. I got to increase my message or vision. I got to go along the journey, and thus, I'm still a better speaker than what I was when I started, right? So think about that in that journey to that story that I shared earlier, that vision that you have for yourself, surrounding yourself with good people, believing that you can start. Also understand that you have to enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, feel like you're getting better. One quote that I really like, that I always listen to is, I'm not grown, I'm growing. You know, I used to tell my parents always say, I'm grown. I should respond back, like, you're not grown, you're growing. You see how that worked for me. But essentially what they're saying is that every day I'm growing, I'm getting better, I'm taking steps forward to what I want to be. And if I don't get there, I'm still not a failure, because I'm further than when I started. And I think I was still going to say 3, but I'm actually going to do one more, is that the last one that I would say is that understand that grit and purpose and all these things, failure is good. Failure is okay. Failure makes you a better person, because failure creates 2 things for me, or a couple things. Failure creates an opportunity to learn. Why did I fail? To get better. But also, failure can also serve as a filter for good things afterwards, better opportunities. I'll share an example. There's times I have a list, I call it my failure log, which sounds very self-deprecating and hard, like something that, but why would you beat yourself up and log your failures? But I did that. I wrote every time I have a Google document, and every time I applied for a job, or every time I try to put myself out there and I didn't get it, I'd put my name, I'd put what happened, didn't get that job, and then I would date it, like 2019. And then later on, maybe not in the moment, when I can kind of lick my wounds and be okay with it, I revisit that very stoically, and I say to myself, if this, then this. If I didn't get that job, then this. And most likely, when I did that list, I think still 9 out of 10 items on that list yielded something better, or something that was really meant for me. What's meant for you is meant for you. So if I didn't get this job in 2019, I may have not met this person. If I didn't cross Alpha in undergrad but did it later, I wouldn't have my line brothers that I had when I did cross. So most times, when I can really look at it stoically in that journey, most of my failures are not failures. They're just lessons or just obstacles. And so that would be my last one to share with you, is embrace that in your journey. Embrace failure. Embrace setbacks. Embrace the times that don't go well, and understand it is a journey. It's not a destination in your pursuit of Tahiti. And so I want to charge you or leave you with a poem. A lot of people, for those, I did say it earlier, you saw in my bio, I'm a member of a historically black fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And during the process of, we call it pledging, or trying to be online, we had to recite a lot of poems. We think that we had to recite it. In hindsight, reciting these poems, I thought it was just for us to get grilled, see if we can retain information, or we're just being tested. But what I really understand now in hindsight is that words have power, and that by saying these things over and over and over again in a repetition, it almost became, those thoughts became the thoughts that I told myself, right? And so there's this poem, I call it Poem 101, because if you pledge anything, it don't matter what it is, you're gonna learn Invictus. So if you're interested in historically black fraternities, learn Invictus now, because it's the one that we all use. But people really don't understand the origin story. It's really not even connected to black people. The story, Invictus, was actually written by a man named Sir William Ernest Henley, British man, right? And what people don't know or realize about this man is that he had a terrible life. If you read his biography, or I encourage you to look it up on Wikipedia, he had probably one of the just horrible, sickly lives in the 1800s, right? I think gangrene of the leg, just was not doing well. But he wrote this poem, Invictus, as a way to motivate himself through his adversity and terrible life. And it's become one of the hallmark poems for Greek life, but it was also the poem that Nelson Mandela recited to himself while he was incarcerated for over 20 years in South Africa. So think about the power of that. And so I'm going to not say the whole poem because I don't want to bore you, but I'm just going to say the last stanza, which is very powerful. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Think about that, being the captain of your soul on your journey to your Tahiti. You are the masters of your fate. You are in charge. You're not in charge of the external circumstances that happen to you. You're not in charge of where you grew up. You're not in charge of anything else. That's all external. The only thing that you have agency over is in between your ears. The only thing you have agency over. Bad things will happen to you. You can think about it in your head. Good things will happen to you. It's between your head. That's the only thing you have real agency over. You are the master of your fate in that. No one can dictate that because you control your fate. Now, do you control your fate by events? No. You control your event by how you react in the future. Meaning, I may not get to where I want, but I'm still the master of how I appreciate people or express kindness or take adversity and turn it into lessons. I am the master of that in that journey. And so I want to leave you with that. Think about that in your journey, that you are the masters of your fate, that this is only the beginning. You'll look back 20, 30 years along, and no matter what you do in life, you might not even do something that you thought you were going to do, thought you dreamed about doing, you were going to do something else. But in that retrospect, you'll still be better off there than when you started. You still will be growing. And even looking 20 years down the line, you still have more of a journey to go. It's going to keep on going. That journey is going to keep on going. You are the master of your fate. You are captains of your own souls. So hopefully, if I inspired one or two here today, I did it. I did my job. I've inched myself closer to my Tahiti, rode my rowboat, got one step closer. I might not get there, but I'm going to keep going. And when I do get there, hopefully some people, if you see me, you can say, I saw that guy. He actually shared that he was going to do it and he made it happen. But if it's another school, you say, hey, I saw that guy and he did somewhere else, but he still kept on going. And hopefully that encourages you to keep on going and finding your Tahiti. Thank you very much.